your room assignment information is in Manage My Housing, so that'll be part of our presentation. So we'll go ahead and kick this off. So Josh and I have a couple slides to go through with you. As we're presenting, you can post in the chat any questions you have. Once we're done with the presentation, we will go through the chat and answer all those questions for you. You can save the chat by clicking the three dots and downloading that information. Our colleague Ori will be managing the chat, posting useful links for you as well. So be sure to check those out. Again, any private information, do not put in the chat, only broad generic information. If you have anything private, then you can email that to housing@utc.edu. So we'll get started. My name is Carling Wilson. I'm the Associate Director of Administrative Services here at UTC. I have worked here for 9 years in the housing department. So we are glad that you are coming to join us in August, which is just, I think we're 2 weeks away from today. So super excited. We apologize that we can't meet with you in person, but Josh and I are bringing our presentation to you from West Campus. So we are in one of the lounges and community rooms in West Campus. So we're glad to have you.
Good morning. My name is Joshua McFadder. I'm one of the assistant directors here at UTC Housing and Residence Life. I've been here about a year and a half. I'm originally from out of state, so shout out to all of our out of state people who might be joining us. Good to be here with you. So like any organization, our department has a mission statement that sort of guides our work. We really believe that we are the largest and most flexible classroom here at UTC. This is not just a place where you live. This is not just a place where you eat, but this is a place where you learn, a place where you thrive. We hope that this becomes a place where you learn about diversity and inclusion, you learn about academic success, you learn about self-ownership, but more specifically, UTC Housing and Residence Life strives to connect living and learning to enhance the overall student experience. One of the unique aspects of living on campus is the 24/7 on-call staff available to you. We are here for the morning shift, we're here during the day, and we also punch the clock at the night shift as well. Each floor or section has a resident assistant or RA. This is a student just like you who lives on the floor. They receive a free room and meal plan as compensation, but they are there for community development. They are there to enforce policy, but mostly they're there for a resource. We actually quiz our RAs on their residents to make sure that they know their residents by name. And we also challenge them to know not only their residents by name, but do they know their story? Do they know their major? Do they know something about them? We also have building assistants or full-time admins in each of our complex. We have full-time master's level live-in staff called resident directors. The RDs oversee the RA staff. Their office is located in the complex, and then they go home to their apartment, which is also in the complex. We also have a team of dedicated maintenance and custodial staff who are here to respond to any work order should you submit it. So as you come and prepare for August, ask yourself, have you reached out to someone? Have you talked to that RA who knows you by name in your floor or section? Have you talked to your RD? Have you submitted a work order? We also encourage you to lean into this experience. Last year, even with COVID-19, we facilitated 180 programs. That's 180 opportunities to meet people from big cities like Nashville and Memphis and Knoxville, meet people from small towns, meet people who are coming here and studying from a foreign nation. 180 opportunities to build that connection. We also have our Residence Hall Association, or RHA, which is sort of like a student government. They're here to program as well as to advocate on behalf of residents. We have, going into its second year, we have 3 tenured faculty members who stay with us in the Residence Hall. They teach classes during the day. They might have a night class, And then they come home to the residence hall to program, to be a resource. One of our faculty in residence last year invited a group of students into his residence, into his apartment, and they had pie. And they had pie and conversation. So we have faculty in residence in West Campus Housing, Lockmiller Stagmeyer, as well as Walker and UC Foundation. You might be a member of our residential learning communities, such as Honors College, Go Global, our engineering residential college. The residential learning communities are centered around an academic major or interest area. As I mentioned, we have RA staff. We have almost 100 RAs, making us one of the largest employers of students on campus. And we hope that one day you'll decide to join us as a part of our team as well.
All right, so at this point, many of you have already been assigned. If you're not, we are working on those weekly and we are all caught up. So we are only assigning those that just recently applied. But everyone else should be able to view their room assignment through Manage My Housing. You will see your roommates, your room assignment, room numbers, all the information on that page. So again, be sure to start talking to your roommates and coordinating things for the fall. Meal plans are selected through Manage My Housing. As of today, however, you cannot change that through Manage My Housing. You will have to email the MoxCard office to make any adjustments to your meal plan since we are 2 weeks from the semester starting. Operation Move-In this year is going to be held August 10th through the 13th for freshmen, and then we're reserving the weekend for upperclassmen. So you do need to go into Manage My Housing, click on the Operation Move-In link. You will have to have your immunization hold cleared, which is your meningitis vaccination. Those forms are submitted to University Health Service to have that cleared. So once that's cleared, you can log in, sign your move-in agreement, and sign your contract addendum, and then you will be able to select your move-in appointment. We are only permitting you to bring 2 guests per resident, and all residents will go through the drive-through check-in, which will be held at the UTC Sports Complex, where intramurals and club sports also practices. You will have 2 hours from your check-in appointment to get your key, unload your items, and move your vehicle to the long-term parking lots. We will have some moving carts available in each complex office, so you can check those out. But if you have your own, we do recommend that you go ahead and bring that with you. So we have 10 buildings on campus with a variety of shared and private bedrooms. Most of our freshman options are shared bedrooms, but just know as a sophomore, junior, or senior, the only option is a private bedroom in an apartment, which would have a kitchen and a living room. So that typically means 2 to 4 students per bathroom. Every student is provided a desk, dresser, bed, mattress, and closet. Our apartments, again, those are different because they have living rooms and kitchens, full kitchens. And then our suites are Stagmeyer and West Campus. So in West Campus, you have 2 bedrooms with either 1 or 2 bathrooms and a little common area as well. The West Campus and bowling buildings do not have closet doors. So if you want to bring a tension rod and put up a curtain, that's your best option there. So our bed sizes do vary between each building. When you're in Manage My Housing and you're looking at your assignment, you will also be able to see your bed size. So please review that, as we have twin regular, twin extra long, and full-size mattresses across campus. A couple of the unique features to our complexes is bowling has a hammock park in the courtyard. Lockmiller has a sand volleyball pit with a covered deck for shade. And then DeCosimo has fitness equipment in their courtyard. UTC and Chattanooga, we are part of Gig City, which means we have awesome Wi-Fi throughout campus and town. So we definitely want to encourage you to use those outdoor spaces for studying, for hanging out as well.
And again, Ori is putting some very useful links in the chat function. You can continue to put questions there as well. What to bring. So we ask that you coordinate the common area items with your roommate. Don't forget to bring your shower curtain and rings. Small appliances are allowed, including toasters, coffee maker, etc. But these must remain in the common area or common kitchen. This is important to note. Many fridges are not permitted. On campus, so you don't need to go and purchase those. Tension rods for curtains. We also prohibit, this is also important to note, we prohibit command strips on campus. So instead, we ask that you use small nails, putty, or thumbtacks. The key here is that you want to make sure that you don't damage the wall and avoid unnecessary fees. A full list of what to bring, what not to bring can be found on our Operation Move In, what we refer to as OMI webpage, which is in the chat function. We do recognize that we meet during the coronavirus and COVID-19, a health pandemic that has changed our way of life. It has impacted the economy, it has impacted health, and there's three things we want to make sure that you take away from this presentation related to COVID-19 and housing. One, we have leadership in place. Our leadership is seasoned, our leadership is diverse. Two, our leaders are prepared to make decisions based on data, based on science, based on facts, and based on the recommendation of our university health services here on campus. Third, and most importantly, all decisions will be made with the student's best interest. Your health, your safety is our top priority. We will continue to monitor developments related to COVID-19, but we believe that living on campus provides a strong foundation for success. Our data shows us that those who live on campus compared to those who don't have a higher GPA, AKA grades. Those that live on campus are more likely to retain, come back to the institution, persist, and ultimately graduate, which is our ultimate goal. These facts and many more are why we continue to advocate for the Live On experience and that strong foundation. One step that we have taken is that all residents will have to fill out a COVID screening form. This form asks about exposure, asks about risk, and all residents will have to fill that out before arriving in 2 short weeks. We've also taken a number of steps, including shields at our complex office desk, hand sanitizer installations in our complex, and foot pool door openers in our public restrooms. We encourage you to visit the campus updates at www.utc.edu/coronavirus.
All right, so a couple things to keep you informed now and throughout the semester. So parents, be sure to check our website for updated information. Once the students are here, we do communicate directly to them. But your way in is to pay attention to the website. You can also sign up for the Parent and Family Association as well. They send out monthly newsletters keeping you up to date. A few important things about our website is on the front page, you can click the residence halls link, click on your specific building, and you will see all the amenities for your building, the room dimensions, items that are included. It also has a complex map, so once you know your room number, you can look at it and see where you're located. We also have on the tours page virtual tours of all of our buildings. Since you are unable to see those this summer, you can do that online. The Operation Move-In link is there as well with the full details of how the Operation Move-In will work and how to go through that process. And as always, you can look at the rates, the contract, and the policies on our website as well.
We encourage you wherever you are, whether you're in the kitchen, living room, or your bedroom, to follow us on social media at UTC Housing. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. This is a good source for information. We release information on these platforms as well as our virtual programming. We will have in-person programming with COVID-19 COVID-19 measures, but we will be doing a lot of engagement on our social media platforms, and I am looking right now at our Instagram, so make sure that you follow us at UTC. And at this time, we are going to open up the floor for any questions that you might have. Again, you can put any questions about the UTC housing experience in the chat function, and we will scroll up and go through that.
All right, so the first question we have is, where do we find our room assignment information? Again, that's through Manage My Housing. On the front page, you will see your room assignment, your bed size, and the list of your roommates. So be sure to look in Manage My Housing for all of that information. We have a question, what if my roommate just decided not to move in this semester? So we do have some students still waiting on a room assignment, so we are working on those on a daily basis. So if somebody cancels, then we're filling that spot with somebody who's waiting for an assignment. At that point, we do recommend that every couple days you log in and make sure that your roommates haven't changed, or if they have, that you start reaching out to your new roommate. If your housing is saying you canceled, the question is, why is my housing saying I canceled in June? That's probably due to a missed deadline. So I would encourage you to email housing@utc.edu so we can look into that and get you reassigned.
There's a question about, are first year students or freshmen able to get a private room instead of shared? Carly might have more information here, but I do know that the majority of our housing spaces are private. We do have some shared spaces. And related to COVID-19 and the coronavirus, we did measure every space on campus to ensure that we're able to do that physical distancing in the rooms. Is one step that we took this summer.
Yes, at this point, we aren't able to accommodate those room changes to private rooms simply because we still do have a waiting list of students wanting to be assigned. We have a question from Jennifer. Do small nails work in bowling? The walls look like they are made of concrete blocks. Also, how big should the tension rod be for the closet? That's correct. The exterior walls in bowling are cinder blocks. However, the interior walls are drywall. So you could, on the interior walls of your room, hang some stuff with small nails. And if you wanted to hang posters on the block walls, we suggest the sticky putty or the ticky-tack kind of putty for those. The closet is about 4 feet by 8 feet tall, so you'd want to get at least a 4-foot tension rod to hang a curtain there, and then depending on how high you want it would determine your length. But it's 8-foot ceilings.
And again, Carly sort of answered this question. Can we use thumbtacks on the walls? We do allow thumbtacks. We allow a putty as well as small nails. The thing that we don't allow is command strips.
We have a question from Becky about the app for our laundry system and when would students get that information. So we just we're sorry, pause for a second. We have a new laundry contract, and that's what I'm trying to say. They are working on that this week, so we will update our website with that information. The residents will get it at their opening meetings with their RAs. The information for the app will also be posted in the laundry room for the complex. So there's a couple spots. And then once it's all the information is solidified, then we would push out an email just to let you know that it's been updated and you can review that.
And Carly mentioned a very important point, which is the opening section or floor meeting. This will take place twice. One will take place on the 13th and one will take place on the 16th of August. Conducted via Zoom, so you should look out for a Zoom link if you're a student, where your RA will convene your floor or section and give out very important information whether it's laundry, whether it's the duty number, policies. So you definitely want to make sure that you avail yourself to that opening section, opening floor meeting.
All right, so David has a question on what is the emergency contact for parents in case of an issue in the residence hall. So a couple things. One, we have the UTC alert system, so anyone can sign up for that and get campus-wide updates that are pushed out. So I would encourage parents to sign up for that as well as the student. The students do list an emergency contact on their housing application. We typically don't call that unless it is a legitimate emergency. And those phone calls typically come from the Dean of Students office, not necessarily from housing. So those are two options there should anything happen. If it's kind of more of an important thing to notify parents and the student is with us, then we typically ask the student, hey, Josh, please call your mom right now. Sit here with me while we're talking out a situation. I think it's best you call your mom. So those would happen in person with the student. Madeline has a question on how can I see if my roommates changed. Again, everything for housing is through Manage My Housing. So you'll want to log in to Manage My Housing, and on that front page, you'll see your room assignment and your roommates. That is the same spot where you'll submit work orders if you need a light bulb changed in your room. And everything housing related will be in Manage My Housing.
There's a question about COVID-19. It says, in relation to COVID-19, are there any restrictions to leaving campus for the weekend? Will quarantining be required upon return, etc.? So a couple of points on that, and I'll narrow in on your direct question. We have limited our visitation policy. So anybody from off campus cannot visit the residence halls after Operation Move In. If you are an on-campus resident, you can visit between halls, but that's one policy that we have implemented in terms of people coming onto our campus or into our halls. You still can come and visit. You can meet your parents or meet whoever outside of our halls at their hotel. So that's one point. And in terms of leaving campus, of course, you can leave campus. We would not restrict that. But we do ask that you continue to practice those COVID-19 related practices, physical distancing, mask wearing here in our county. Masks are required both on our campus, but in our county. So no matter if you're on campus or off campus, as well as practicing hand hygiene. It depends on where you go in terms of when you say you're leaving for campus. If you're going to a hot spot or going to a region, or it depends on if you're, I don't know if you're taking a vacation. So that would depend in terms of whether quarantine would be necessary based on exposure.
To add to that, there is a form if you are traveling to specific locations. Again, you can read more of that on that coronavirus blog. But if you are traveling, there is a form to complete before you leave, which University Health Services would review and then contact you if there's any concerns with that, and then direct you as to what you need to do next. Roy had a question about, are you still able to join your friend's room? If your friend has a vacancy in their room, then I would encourage you to email or call housing so that we can look into changing you into that space. However, if there's not a vacancy, then there is nothing we can do about that right now. Hannah had a question about mirrors in the bedrooms, and yes, our residence halls do have mirrors in the rooms. Most of them are mounted to the back of the closet door. So I have seen that a lot of students prefer to bring their own so that they can place it in different locations and not necessarily on the back of the closet door. So yes, one is provided, but if you want to bring one, just depending on where you might want to put it, that would be up to you. All right, so again, in the chat, please post any questions you have. Decorating your room, traveling to campus, COVID-19, Operation Move-In. We are here to answer your questions. So just talk those through, put them in the chat, and we'd be glad to answer that. So Philip has a question about what are the bed sizes. So again, log in to Manage My Housing, which is where you'll see your room assignment, your bed size, and your roommates. You'll be able to view your bed size in Manage My Housing. We have another question about a mirror and bowling. If there's no closet door, good catch. I believe it's in the bathroom or it's mounted to the bedroom door. I can't remember exactly, but you can email your resident director who would have specifics on that complex as well, or call the bowling office. So those numbers on our housing website, you can click the About Us link and see your resident director and email or call them for specifics. For the mirrors, they are just what are they, maybe a foot and a half by 4 feet, the standard mirror that you would find at Walmart or Target or any of the other home goods stores.
There's a question from Leslie, thank you. Are we allowed to bring a mini fridge? And the answer to that is no. Mini fridges are prohibited on campus, so you do not need to go and purchase one.
So if there is a medical requirement for a mini fridge, we would ask that you complete the accommodation request form on our website. So if you're taking medications or for other health reasons, you need to have your own fridge for supplies. Again, you can fill out that form, which is reviewed by our Disability Resource Center. And then if approved, they would let us know so we could go ahead and mark that you're permitted to bring a mini fridge.
Other questions you might have. I'm trying to think to previous sessions. We had a question one time about safety in our residence halls and are the residence halls secure? And the answer to that question is yes. We have several layers of security on campus. Some people have card swipe access. Some halls are external. We do have staff, RA staff, who does rounds of the building to make sure that everything is secure. We also have security that we contract who goes into our residence halls and does additional rounds. And we do have cameras in some of our locations. In addition to that, on campus, we do have a full police department. They have a presentation as a part of orientation as well. And we do have the blue light system where you can press a button and UTCPD will respond. So that was an answer to a previous question in another session.
One thing to note for all of our incoming freshmen, that Mox UTC email is the most important thing for you to keep up with. That is how every professor, every staff person, how your roommates, how everyone's communicating on campus. So if you haven't set that up, get used to it. You can start learning how to file things. UTC info and the Scrappy's info is getting pushed out to you as well with campus-wide updates. So be sure to have that email and be checking it regularly and start practicing how to organize it as well, because all information comes to that Mox email account. And then we did have a question about Mox IDs. Your Mox ID for incoming freshmen, if you live on campus, will be given to you at check-in for Operation Move-In. So when you come through the drive-through check-in, we'll have everyone's Mox IDs there and be able to distribute those to you at that time.
And I would add, the university is pushing several useful videos, but here in UTC Housing and Residence Life, we do have a video of what Operation Move-In will look like this year. Very helpful about the drive-in and the sports complex. So go to our social media, the university social media, and view that video, which I believe is helpful.
We have a question about, is your Mox ID the key to your room? Sort of. Some of our buildings do have interior hallways, so they have a swipe on the outside door to get you into the hallway, but every student has a key that gets them into their apartment or suite and their bedroom. So your Mox ID swipes you into the building, and then your room key lets you into your apartment or suite and bedroom.
And I do recommend that you visit your contract, but also our policies, in that having your Mox ID, the expectation on you at all times while on campus. You need it for dining, you need it to access some of our buildings. Should a university official ask who you are, that's sort of your identification. So that is a part of our expectation as well.
So as Josh mentioned earlier about the staff that we have available 24/7, this next question is, what happens if you lose your key to your residence hall or your room? So you can get a new Mox ID card. I think they're $15. So again, you want to keep track of that because it can get expensive. Some people know if you keep replacing it. And your room key, if you lose it, so every building has an office, and there you can, if you're locked out, you can get assistance to get let back in. If you've lost your key, they will process what we call a core change and give you a loaner key in the meantime, and then they would change your core to your room, and you and your roommates would all get new keys. That is pretty expensive, so that's about $60. Plus $10 for any missing key. So again, you really want to make sure that you're keeping track of your keys and not losing them. But if it happens, we do have staff available 24/7. You just need to let them know. And should anything happen, like an emergency type situation, if maybe they're not lost, but perhaps stolen, please alert the staff immediately, because we can do an emergency core change as well. And that way access to your room is secured.
There's a few questions. Yes, we love this. Is there a limit to the amount of people that can help you move in? Yes, we do limit the amount of people who are actually coming into our building and helping you to 2 people per resident. However, there's always a question of, can I bring more? You can bring more to the city, so they can, be at the hotel, they can be in the car, but you can only have 2 guests to actually help you with the physical move-in.
All right, so we have a question about changing rooms if we know someone is canceling. Again, I would have you email housing@utc.edu. Make sure you clarify who the person is that you're trying to move into the room with, the room number. That way we can look at whether or not there's a vacancy in that room. If there's a vacancy in the room, we will gladly try and work with you to get you in there. However, if there's not, then of course there's nothing we can do at that point.
There's a question, are we allowed to burn candles? And the answer to that is no. This past Sunday at my own residence, I did burn a candle, lazy Sunday. But on our campus, we do not allow burn candles. So if you go to Bath and Body Works or somewhere, you want to give those to someone else instead of bringing them to campus.
All right, so we do have a few minutes left. Josh and I will stay on here as long as there are questions coming into the chat. So again, we thank you for joining us. If you need to leave, you can. If you want to stick around and keep posting questions, we will gladly answer those for you as well. We have a question about Operation Move-In, and will there be directions as to where to go exactly for the drive-through check-in? Yes, we have a lot of signage in the works right now. So it should be very, very clear where to turn, what roads to go down, but it's essentially O'Neill Street and Macaulay is the main intersection to get all that signage. and get to campus. So just be on the lookout once you get to those spots. But if you look at the Operation Move-In page, there are maps of the entire process, maps for the specific complexes, and driving instructions depending on which highway you're coming in off of. Candle warmers are also not permitted. So candles, candle warmers, wax, you may use Glade plugins. Those are permitted. And then diffusers is another option, a safe way to get a nice, pleasant aroma in your room.
Yes, as well as Febreze. Febreze is always, always good. I like to get the wallflowers from Bath and Body Works myself. Those are good too.
Again, we thank everyone for joining us today. If you have questions, you can always call or email our office. We'd be glad to answer those for you in the next couple weeks. And then once you arrive to campus, there will be staff all over. So just grab someone in a housing shirt and they'd be glad to answer all those questions on site as well.
And again, one last shout out to our social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at UTC Housing. Carling, there's a question. Is it too late to apply for housing? Asking for a friend. Thank you, Lauren, for that.
It is not too late to apply for housing. We are still working on applications and students that are applying in the last couple weeks. So it's never too late, but as space comes available, we're working on those assignments. So it may take a minute before you actually receive an assignment, but you can still apply for housing. And as far as your MOX ID, there's a question about the picture. You will upload that picture. I believe they're presenting this afternoon, but students are asked to upload their photos so that the ID will be printed before you arrive. And that way we just hand it to you at the check-in tent.